guys, it's Pam with Normalized Cloth here. Today's another beautiful day. I feel like this challenge is just flying by. Today is day 4 and the topic for today is, what is my wash routine? My routine is essentially the same as it was last year, but I figured this year I would try to do a little better job of breaking things down. So for starters, what am I using? I'm doing the bucket and plunger method, which means I'm using a 5-gallon bucket and a plunger. The plunger is just an ordinary toilet plunger, nothing super spectacular, no holes drilled in it, no modifications made to it. The bucket itself is actually a little deeper than a standard bucket. It's got measurements on the side and a drainage in the bottom because it is a brewing bucket. It was something that my dad had given us for free, and so I use that. It actually works really well, and it's why I prefer not to have a lid on my bucket, because it's deep enough that it contains a lot of the splash. The detergent I'm using is the same exact detergent I got from the Dollar Tree last year. I use rubber gloves like I did last year for the same reason I did last year. My hands are so prone to cracking, and so gloves are essential to protect my hands. Laundry rack is the same laundry rack I've been using like pretty much every day for all of my laundry that I normally line dry, including diapers. So same laundry rack as last year as well. This year I'm using a salad spinner to wring my diapers. I didn't use one last year, but I'm using it this year because pregnancy has my hands just aching and throbbing and hurting, and wringing is just way too hard on my hands. I can't do it. So the salad spinner does an excellent job wringing out a lot of excess so that I can line dry them in a decent amount of time. So basically my tools I'm using for washing this year are the same as last year, with the inclusion of a salad spinner for wringing. Now as far as my process goes, this has changed a little bit from last year too, only in that I am recycling my final rinse water. Last year I stored all of my diapers dry in the bucket and filled the bucket up with fresh water for the pre-wash. And then I realized that was actually incredibly wasteful. I had heard somebody mention saving the final rinse water for the pre-wash for the next day. And that's actually quite genius, because you can store diapers in water, and it not only helps reduce odor, but it also saves on water. It's not something that you do though long term. My diapers are never sitting in that water longer than 12 hours, and I would say don't do it if you plan on storing diapers longer than 24 hours between washes. For the first day of the challenge, I had to fill up fresh water because I didn't have a final rinse from the day before, because there was no final rinse the day before. It's like a spider, like flying around attached to a web. So where for the first day I had to start with fresh water for my pre-rinse or pre-wash, this time around each subsequent day has been a recycling of the final rinse water for the pre-wash. Pre-washing is as simple as taking a plunger to my bucket and giving them a good plunge about 25 times, just to knock the bulk of any mess off of them and to get some of that urine out and into the water. I find it's not really necessary to plunge a whole lot, especially if they've already been soaking. So from there, I wring out each diaper, not excessively, just getting the bulk of the mess out, set them aside, and I dump the water, but I dump it into the toilet. The reason I dump the water into the toilet is because my toilet not only drains insanely faster than my tub, but because a lot of the mess that's in the pre-wash especially, I don't want that in my tub. It's all draining to the same place anyways. As far as my wash goes, I then refill the bucket with hot water, and I add about half a tablespoon worth of detergent. Throw the diapers back in, and I usually agitate them about 75 times. From there, I do the same process as with the pre-wash. I pull each one out individually, give them a quick wring just to get the excess water out of them, and set them aside. Dump the bucket, refill it with fresh cold water. Sometimes that involves rinsing some of the suds out of the bucket if there are any, before filling it up with fresh cold water and throwing the diapers back in. The initial first rinse, I usually only plunge about 10 to 20 times because it gets sudsy pretty quickly. I then pull the diapers out, same process, quick wring, set them aside, put fresh water in. My son just came outside. Yeah, I know it's cold. And then the subsequent rinse is the same process, you know, into some fresh water, and then pull them out and give them a quick wring until my water looks pretty much like this. At this point, I deem it close enough. I've never had an issue with buildup or anything rinsing to this point. Some film and a few couple suds on the surface of the water, to me, is close enough. My son's mad because I closed the door. You can probably kind of hear him crying. Usually the process takes me anywhere from 12 to 15, maybe sometimes up to 20 minutes, depending on how much detergent I use, how dirty the diapers are, how long I'm plunging. Each time I rinse, I usually only plunge about 10 to 20 times. It doesn't take much to knock the detergent out of the diapers. And a lot of people are really curious as to the comparison between machine washing and hand washing, and that is what I'm currently working on for Open Topic tomorrow. So if you are interested in those comparisons, now granted this is my situation, this is my circumstances that I'm going to be comparing, so if you're interested in seeing the comparison between energy consumption and water consumption and hot water use and all that fun math, then definitely subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the video tomorrow, because tomorrow for Open Topic I am doing that comparison of the two. Also, don't forget that the giveaway for the Happy Behinds $10 gift card is still going, so if you're interested in entering, go ahead and click the link to the Rafflecopter in the description box below, and Lord willing, I'll see y'all tomorrow.